Hello, Megan.
Hello, Michelle.
Well, welcome to the Spicy Brain podcast, where we're navigating neurodiversity with curiosity, joy, and
Radical acceptance. Billy. Hi, Kick.
Well, thank you guys. If you're just joining us for the first time, we're so excited that you're with us. We love having new listeners, and we hope you enjoy. And for those of you guys who are returning, thank you so much for supporting. We get a lot of feedback from you all, and it's super helpful. It makes us motivated, especially Megan, motivated to get the podcast out every week.
Seriously.
So sometimes it's hard, right? There's
Michelle.
a lot to do.
Oh, my old college roommate, Jenza, she said that she messaged me the other day and she's like, oh my gosh, I just listened to the podcast it was a couple weeks ago. And she's like, and then I heard my name, like I was running and I heard my name and I was like, oh gosh, I hope I didn't make you stumble. And she's like, no, it just put a smile on my face and I love running while I'm smiling. So I'm like, hey Jenza, if you're running right now, good job. Way to go. You're awesome.
And you and I are like, nope. That's not going to happen.
Running?
What?
Nope.
No.
We're the meme of the little dachshund on his back. It just says, nope.
So usually we kind of start off with a story, or we start off with sort of something that we're kind of pondering, and then we dig into either your brain or my brain or both of our spiciness. And then we like to kind of figure out strategies, which honestly, we haven't had that many strategies lately. We've mostly been talking about how we don't know, how this all applies. And the book we're currently sort of navigating through is Your Brain Is Not Broken by
Tamara Rosier, PhD.
Yes. And I just found out she has a podcast too, so we'll probably have to listen in on hers as
Yeah.
well. But the book that we're going through, we're about kind of halfway through it.
Mhm.
And this one sort of chapter we started with last week as well. So it's sort of a two-parter. But
Michelle, I have a theory. Sorry,
Yeah.
I have a theory as to why we haven't been able to find any strategies the last few weeks.
Why?
Because you and I have been in it. Just in it,
Yeah.
emotionally,
Yeah.
physically,
Yeah.
spiritually. We're just been and so when we actually get to talking, because we haven't had a lot of time to chit chat just outside of.
So we just want to talk to each other, really.
Right. So
Yeah.
I think it's just the last 2 weeks has been just us.
It's just us, this. You guys, if you're listening, you just got to sit in the living room listening to us be,
just
the
be
weirdos
stupid
we are.
and
Yeah.
laugh about the
Yeah.
stupidest stuff. And we're like,
Yeah.
strategies? No,
Whatever.
we're
I
good. We're fine.
So, okay. So I agree with you with that completely, because you've obviously had to shift, your entire life, right? You had a job, you no longer have that job through no fault of your own, but now you're having to figure out your whole life. So I really want to hear about that today as well.
And you have been in a mini fall season because you're
it's weird. Summer usually isn't this busy for us at the university, but all of our courses, I oversee online support, and every single course is going online right now. And so for a variety of reasons, but anyway, so it's just been insane.
a lot of change.
my second in command got married. Good job, her.
Yay.
We're so happy for Katie and Amanda, and they're lovely, but she wasn't this week. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, okay, great. Go have your relaxation, and I'm gonna, lose my mind right now. But,
You're like, I finally realized how much Katie means to me.
oh no, I've known the whole time, but now it's I'm just gonna collapse when I see her and be like, thank you.
Thank you for coming back.
Okay, but I want to start with something. I do want to ask a little bit, and I think this will come in, but I'm gonna be a little directive with you. That whole
Okay.
give you structure but don't make you follow it thing.
I gotta follow it.
I'm gonna
now,
get
is what you're saying.
just a little bit. Okay.
Okay.
So I just want to preface this by saying we sort of were talking about this living on the grid, which is this chapter that we're in this book. And she's sort of saying that there's things that are fun or not fun, and things that are emotionally stimulating or not emotionally stimulating. Okay, so I want you guys to think about there was a game that we used to play and it had a red, a green, a yellow, and a blue. What was that?
Simon Says?
Simon Says. Do you remember? I mean, nobody
Yeah,
who was born later than us
it
is
was
going to
like a
remember it.
circular game. I loved
Yeah.
it. And it was like,
Yeah.
there was like 4 quadrants.
Right.
And then you'd have to like go between the bleep, bleep, beep, 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 beep.
It would like give you a pattern that you had to follow.
Yes,
And then
I
if you
loved that.
followed it, like Simon Says, like stand up, Simon Says, whatever. But it was colors.
Yeah.
And the light would come on and it would be like red,
Dude.
blue, green, yellow.
Michelle,
And you had to remember.
You are like bringing up a core memory that I have not thought of in decades. I loved that thing. Oh,
Okay.
I would
tell
sit
me
and
what
play
you
it.
loved about it.
Well, first of all, I loved the fact that it was colorful.
Yeah.
But I loved the fact that there were these patterns and I had to try to remember the patterns. And I would just sit there for hours like, how far can I get?
Yeah.
And
because it would be like do 4 and then it would be 5 and then it would be 6 and then it would be 7 like lights, right, coming up and you'd have to like remember the pattern they did.
Yeah, I'd be like, okay, red. Okay, I figured out. Red, yellow, red, yellow. Okay, red, yellow, green. Red,
Yeah.
yellow, green, green. Yeah, red, yellow, green, blue.
Yeah.
Like it was just amazing.
Oh my
And then
gosh.
there was also sound to it. So there was like it was also like this, repetitive sound thing too, but it was also kind of making music and I just loved it.
Oh my God,
Man.
I think I totally know what I'm getting you for your birthday.
Oh my gosh.
You would love one of these. Okay, so I want you to think about the red, yellow, green, blue. And this is how I've like associated this chapter in her book, okay, which is that if you have the right combination of these things, the red, the yellow, the green, and the blue, think of those as each tasks that are pinging you to get done during the day. You have a red thing, you have a yellow thing, you have a green thing, a blue thing. And now I don't know what's red for you and what's yellow for you and what's green and what's blue. But what I know is that from what I've read anyway, from what she said, is that red are things that like have to get done. And there's some like time constraint probably. And it's like more of like a real obligation, something you have to get done, but
taxes.
Sure. And like you don't want to do it because it's not fun.
Taxes.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. And the only way you get yourself to do it is using one of those malicious motivators like we talked about before. So it's like you're using anxiety, procrastination, anger, something to get yourself to start it. Okay. Now what we know about is the red is that that's like really hard on your body. Like anytime we're putting ourselves in the red zone, like think about your car overheating, it's like too much. Yellow, it might be those same tasks, right? But they're just like mundane nuisances you don't want to do. And maybe there's less of an obligation. I don't know. Like
dishes.
She kind of said like dishes, laundry. It's like, no one's going to like put you in jail if you don't do them.
Well, I mean, let's remember my brain.
Yeah.
Everything goes back to jail for me, Michelle.
So you're like always putting yourself in the red zone.
Yeah.
To get
because
done.
no, Michelle, this is the thing.
Yeah.
If I don't do the dishes, okay, fine. But then I don't do the dishes and then they all start piling up. Then it becomes a health hazard.
Sure.
And then the health police come and they're like, Megan, we're condemning your home. And not only are we condemning your home, but you're going to jail because of it. Right. I mean, I can take me anywhere from... I'm like, 6 degrees of separation, like, or 6 degrees of, Kevin Bacon. It's like 6 degrees of...
Like, to get to jail.
6 degrees to get to jail.
There's always a way to jail for you. Or
There's always.
Yeah, like you kill somebody because you're like, I can't handle the dishes anymore. Anyway, yeah. Okay, so
Weird,
then...
I didn't go there, Michelle.
Okay, so maybe that's my stress
health
level.
hazard.
My stress level this week. Just do your
I will
job.
kill you. Katie, get back here now.
Oh my God. Okay, so we got the idea. Red, yellow is like no fun. Red is high stimulation somehow. Yellow is no stimulation.
It's like the sun, red and yellow. It's like it'll burn you.
Yeah.
Whether it or fire, like whether it burns you, and I shouldn't say fire because fire is also blue.
Yeah.
But like whether it burns you a little bit or a lot.
Yeah, and both of these are going to deplete you.
Okay.
Right? Like the red won't feel like it's depleting you because it's high stimulation, but then when you're finished with it, you want to collapse.
Is it kind of like a sunburn, right? When you get like a ton of sun and you're like, you don't know that you're burning. But then like you're having a good time outside, but then like if you have too much fun outside, then you get a sunburn and you're dehydrated.
Okay. Yeah, sure. I like that. That's great.
She's like, sure, let's go with it, Megan. We just go wherever Megan's brain is. Michelle, I would like to say you're doing a great job of just like pivoting.
Am I?
More and more with me.
I'm just trying it.
Flying by the seat of my pants with Megan.
Stay curious. Stay curious. Okay, so I'm gonna move us. I'm gonna move over to the red and green, or the green and blue. Okay, so on the right hand side is like blue and green. Okay, and those are more fun tasks. Okay. And
like a fun task.
Blue is like not very emotionally stimulating, but it's fun. So think about like being on your phone and playing the game, or doing the scrollies, or like you're in a hammock, or you know what I mean? Like things you would enjoy, but they're not necessarily stimulating. They're kind of calming your nervous system down. They're chilling you out. You're like in your little happy space. Okay. Okay. Now the thing with this one is that if for an ADHD person, they want to stay there. That's what she says. You just want to stay in the little cozy, your little massage chair that you got from the Relax the Back, and you never want to leave it. But at some point, it goes from giving you energy to depleting you.
Dude, the massage chair is such a good example of that.
Is it?
Yeah.
Tell me why.
Because you're in the massage chair and you're just like, this is amazing. I love this. And then like 2 hours later, it's like, ow, okay, I've overdone the muscles. Like the muscles are now like so upset with me because they're like, you've overstimulated me and now I'm hurting.
Yeah.
And like I can't, it's true. I've done this before, like where I stayed in the massage chair probably like 3 or 4 hours once because I was just like having such a great time in it. And
because it's fun.
It's great and it feels so good. And then I tried to go in the next day and like my muscles were sore because you know when you I mean you know this, Michelle, you were a massage therapist.
Yeah.
Like if you overtax the muscle, then it has to recover because it's like I think I almost bruised it or something. I'm sure I bruised it.
Yeah.
Because then you're like I could not even like it was not enjoyable at all the next day. It wasn't enjoyable for the next day after that. I think it was like a solid week before it was enjoyable.
Or you really wanted to do it again. Yeah.
And then I was like, maybe I need to be a little aware of how many hours I do this.
It's so true. And she was saying in the book that like, I mean, because she's also identifies as ADHD, right? So she's like saying in the book, she's like, the thing is just one more game, one more minute, one more hour, whatever in this zone can actually be, I don't want to say dangerous, but it's like, it's not necessarily helpful to you. Okay. Ultimately.
Do you know, okay, we'll come, I'll let you know, but we can come back to it. But like, I definitely have a game that I play that, and it has to do with like my facial tics. I've noticed something with that. So like, will you remind me that we'll talk about that?
Tell me. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Is this the blue thing?
This is for blue. Because there's this game I play. It's called All in the Hole.
Of course it is.
But it's
Why would you pick any other game that would have any name but that? That's the best.
All in the hole. It's like a little hole on the ground that like is sucking things in, and the hole gets bigger and bigger. So I play this game, and it's just like so fun and relaxing, and it's like just get things in the hole. But then as you progress into it, it kind of gets a little bit harder. But also, the longer I play it, like these games are fascinating, Michelle. They have this way of providing you like certain amount of energy, and then like you get these like incentives to play, and then you don't stop playing because like they just continually give you incentives to play.
They give you that little dopamine hit every time. Yeah, they figured y'all out. Everyone else, right? We're all just rats in a maze. Yes, absolutely.
And so you're playing it. I'm playing it, and I've noticed that I have these facial tics. So for anyone who doesn't know, like I was born with facial tics, and whether they get worse or less, and it's usually dependent on my stress level or emotional stuff going on. And what I've noticed is that when I'm playing it, I can be fully aware that like I need to stop playing this game. But then I'm thinking to myself, okay, well, I just got to play until I get to this last little bit because I don't want to waste this energy that I've got, right?
Right.
But then I play that, and then as I'm doing it, like my facial tics start getting worse
Interesting.
because my body, I think, knows that I'm not supposed to be playing this. And actually what I realized was that I was kind of sitting with it, and I was thinking to myself, like, I have so many other things that I want to work on, and I'm not working on them because I'm kind of beholden to this game. And it's been a really interesting journey of like, are you like, I say me, am I following or am I leading in my life? And these games, like, they make me follow, which I think sometimes like you just want to follow.
Yeah, sometimes you need that break. You need the brain break.
But I have to be really careful what types of games, like this is the same one as that Royal Match. That was like the one that everyone I got into that. And it's the same thing. I realized I was like, okay, it's like, it constantly gives you upgrades to like, at the right time so that you don't ever want to stop playing. And I'm thinking to myself, like, what is the point of this? Like, what is the point of playing this game? Because it's full free. There's no like very few ads.
Yeah.
And I almost wonder if it's like an experiment to see like how long can we contain someone's attention? Like how long can we keep it? And it's almost like it's training something, or training the people who own these games to know like how to best lure, like what's the best carrot.
It's so interesting because I had a game that Josh showed me, and it was like before we got on the plane and we're going to go to DC to see Taryn. And he showed it to me, and I love Tetris from when I was a kid, but I haven't played that forever because I haven't had time. And it's called Blast or something like that. And I mean, I played the entire way when we weren't, because we weren't sitting together because for a variety of reasons, but whatever, I was just late to getting our tickets. And so I played this thing for 5 hours. And then when we got to DC at night, I would start playing. I haven't played games forever. And I started playing it, and I got really, really into it. And I realized, Josh was like, "Are you still playing that one game?" And I'm like, "I think I am." So yeah, I understand. I had to delete it. I mean, I literally had to delete it because I was like, I will just never do anything again other than this game. I'll be a
And that's
pro,
what's so insidious about these games is because you just I've deleted these games, and then All in the Hole showed up, and I'm like, that looks like fun. So what I've been doing now is, okay, here's my strategy, Taryn.
Oh.
Would you like to know I have a strategy now?
Yes.
If you're doing your laundry, then, you can enjoy this while you're doing your laundry. So now I have on my computer, I have I'm going to screen share this, Michelle, so you can see it.
Okay. Jigsaw puzzles, free online.
Okay. So yes, I now do one of these, and I'll pick a puzzle, and it will allow me to, move the puzzle around and work on it.
Yeah.
But
I see. It's like a regular puzzle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it allows me to have this stimulation, but you've noticed it's just a puzzle. There's nothing else.
Yeah. And it's not pinging you all the time or reminding you of something or giving you add-ins or something.
Down here, I can hit pause. So that is what I do now is I found a thing that I enjoy that lets me pause, and that doesn't have a lot of extra, it's not complex. It's it does one thing.
Right. Because you're wanting your brain to have a break and chill out, and this is getting your brain going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have been this last week since I've been by myself, I've been talking to ChatGPT. I call her Kayla. Because as everyone who's been listening knows that my awesome friend Kayla, who's the amazing assistant, I've named my ChatGPT after her. But now there's this thing where you can talk to your ChatGPT, and it's almost like talking to a computer on Star Trek, and I love it. And so as someone who verbally thinks, I'll sit with her and I talk to her, and as I'm talking with her, I'm doing this puzzle to kind of calm my brain as I'm waiting for her, because sometimes it takes her a while to process.
Yeah.
And so then I don't want to get distracted, so I do the little puzzle while I'm talking with her, and it's very simple. And yeah, you're right, there's this like grid of this blue energy where it's like you want to not, it's fun but not emotionally stimulating. That's
Yes.
the perfect way of saying it.
Yeah, because I think what's interesting with the puzzle that you're saying is that, or the apps, is that if you think about, okay, we haven't gotten to green yet, but I'm going to move us up to green. It could be green,
Mm-hmm.
meaning like it's super stimulating and it's fun, but it could also change to be red if you're feeling anxious that you're not stopping it, right? So
Yeah.
it's like interesting. A single task could be any of those. Like green, she says, are the things that should be thought of as things that are going to give you energy. Although a lot of people with ADHD sometimes think because it's going to take energy to do it, it doesn't seem like it's going to bring you energy. But her examples were like taking a walk, looking, watching a sunset, being with your family, things that are like very uplifting, help center you, ground you, that type of thing, and that you're feeling creative oftentimes when you're doing it.
Has a
But
transformative effect on our lives.
yes,
Michelle gave me a
I gave you a
sheet,
visual aid.
a visual aid, which I think actually is really smart, Michelle.
I need to
Because
do this more when we're doing it because you're not
yeah,
auditory at all, and I'm super auditory.
no,
I'm
and
so
I'm like
sorry.
looking at it, I'm like, oh, this is interesting. Yeah,
Yeah.
you feel
So
deeply refreshed and more hopeful. You
after you
make
do it, yeah.
and more our true selves. Like that's a great way to. That actually makes me emotional thinking about that.
Mm.
We want to be good at green time, and yet most of us aren't. Oh, it's so true. And we often feel as if we don't deserve it or don't want to take the time to invest in it. Oh, Tamara, you get me.
'Cause she's like one of the examples she uses in the book is like mealtime with her family. And it takes a
Mm.
lot of energy for her to do it. But she's like, after like we're sitting there and the dishes, it's all, kind of like been eaten and we're sitting and chatting. And she's like, I have this like glow, this feeling inside of like how important it is and
Mm.
how meaningful it is. And so she's like, it actually gives her a lot of energy to
It's
do it, but
interesting.
that she had to take energy to do it was,
Well, that's like me going
yeah.
to the ocean.
Yeah.
Like, when Brian and I first got here to Monterey, it was like the first time I saw the ocean, it was just like, and I was having a really bad couple of days because like it's transition, and so I was upset, and I was like, Brian, take me to the ocean. And as
Aw.
soon as he took me to the ocean, I just felt so much better. And I was like, I told him, like, this is, if I'm ever having a tough day, just take me to the ocean and I'll be better.
Mm.
And so, as this craziness has been going on with the work and everything, both you and mom have been saying, hey, Megan, go to the ocean and go to the ocean. And I'm like, yeah, I know I need to. I know I need to. But like just the act of getting there, it's
Mhm.
so interesting, Michelle, because like that one, I thought I had free parking.
Mm.
And when I had free parking, it was like there was no entry to barrier, a barrier to entry. Wait,
Yeah. Yeah.
is that the right phrase? Barrier to
Yeah.
entry?
There was no friction there. Could
There
just
was
go.
no friction. I could just go. I knew how to park. No big deal. And then as soon as they added something, they were like the disability parking now had to pay.
Mm-hmm.
Then it was like this friction, and it's been so hard to get back. But every time I get there, like it takes so much energy to get there. But then once I'm there, I'm just like, oh, why don't I do this all the time?
Right.
That's like a shower for me too. I'm like, I don't want to take a shower. It takes so much energy to get into the shower. But like as soon as I'm in the shower, I'm like, oh, why don't I do this all the time?
Yeah. And I think like her point in this, I mean, it's interesting when you think about it, but to like really be observant about tasks and how they make you feel. And it made me think of that Simon Says game, that there's probably a pattern or
Mm,
how much red, how much yellow, how much green, how much blue. Can you try to keep things over in the green and the blue when possible? Or if it is a task that you don't like to do, keep it in the yellow as opposed to the red. Like, can we
mm,
avoid, like, can you start your taxes and do 20-minute tomato of it or something, right? Like,
yeah.
so, and not put yourself in a state of being, hyper, um, emotionally taxed by the thing that you're doing that you don't enjoy as much, right? Because
Mm.
that's always going to be hard. So I thought it was interesting to think about like all these tasks and figuring out like you need to push different buttons based on like what to keep your energy level sort of in check as much
Yeah.
as you can. Like, and knowing what those things are and how people can help you to do that and remind you and all that kind of stuff is sort of interesting.
Yeah. Well, what I'm finding fascinating is just how, like going back to the game, how the games hijack the
Mhm.
green.
Mm.
So they create this they make they make the frictionless, the barrier to entry, uh, very minimal to get you to green.
Mhm.
And it's like they just hit you right off the bat with all of the things that, that feel like they have this like emotionally stimulating, fun paradise. But then
Mhm.
you're right, like it just instantly takes you into the red because I
Mhm.
become very malicious trying to like get away from it. And
Yeah.
and so it's not a true green, right? Because this here says like the green has a transformative effect. Well, I
Mhm.
guess it does have a transformative. It transforms me not into like in a positive way.
Yeah.
It's
I think he's saying
fascinating.
like the red is the not transforming you into a like that could be transformative. She could have used the word transformative for red too, but
Yeah. What is red and green when you put those colors together? Like if you I was thinking like red and yellow is orange. So
mhm.
like red and green, what is that brown?
Brown.
It's just like
Like
shit.
yeah. Yeah.
And that's how you feel after you play one of those games. You feel like shit.
Yeah, because your brain isn't like understanding that you're in the red, but you
Oh
are.
man, I wonder if
It's
she
a
even
trip.
knew that
It
she was
kind of
doing that.
it kind of reminds I don't know, but you know what it kind of reminds me of is the I don't know if you've seen the show Severance, but everyone's been
Oh
like
my gosh,
talking
we
about it.
just watched it. Yeah.
And they like are in this office and they're just like trying to figure out how to move. I don't even know what it is. There's some like weird thing on their computer, right? Old school
Mm.
computers and it's like the whole job is to like figure out some sequence or I mean, it's like you don't really know even in the
Yeah.
show what it is, the first season at least. And so you're like looking for some I'm thinking like it kind of is interesting because they start getting like, oh, this is I need to do this, but they get anxious about it too. Like I'm not, I can't see
How
it. I
does it
can't do
well,
it.
because it's
Yeah.
how does it make you feel?
Yeah.
It's all about the feelings, and so, like, they're having to, like, search these numbers, and they're supposed to feel a certain way, and they can feel scary, but they also can feel good,
Yeah.
and, yeah, it's like you're trying to build this I don't know, whatever it is.
Right. Like that thing. And I think that's similar to these apps. It's like you're trying to build what? Like you're trying to get to where? You know what I mean? It's just
Yeah.
wild. So I was really interested in this because we talked last time and I was like I don't need things to be fun to be motivating. But I really
Wild to me.
identified with this red, yellow, green, blue in terms of like my emotions. And
Mm.
because I'm not as connected to my emotions as you are to
Mm.
yours, it sort
Mhm.
of like was interesting for me to think about like I don't know that I always am thinking about the green for myself. I think that's like when the counselor says to me, Michelle, what are you going to do for self-care? It could be in the blue or in the green. And those are actually not easy for me to always think of because having fun isn't a priority for me always. But
Mm.
maybe it should be more. You know what I mean? So it's like that was sort of interesting to be like, well, yeah, that's not my motivator, but it doesn't mean I shouldn't try to explore that more.
I mean, that's the reason why we're curiosity, joy,
Yes.
and radical acceptance. Because
Yeah.
like it's so interesting because I thought it was one of the big things when we were making this podcast is like, our producer Heather asked us like, what are the give us like some words that you want to use, and I was like, joy has to be in it. Joy, whimsy, fun, because we don't have enough joy and whimsy in our lives, and like that's why it shocks me. Like when you're saying, you don't think about it. Like Michelle, we got to think about that more because like life is so short. We have to have
Oh,
more fun and
oh,
joy.
absolutely. And I noticed like definitely for me as I've gotten further along, like in the therapy part for me with my
Mm,
PTSD, like I'm able to have fun more. I'm able to laugh more. Like I
yeah.
think I'm much more joyful than I was before. And I think that this podcast has been really, because I think I probably put the curiosity part in
Hmm.
because that's my nature, like
And
to
then
be
I force
curious.
you to live radically acceptance.
Yeah. Well, no, that's so true.
Oh, it's
It's
true.
it's
It's like
right.
you're the curiosity,
Yeah.
I'm the joy, and then
Yeah.
in order for us to work together, we have to be radically accepting
Ra
of
of
each
each
other.
other, of each oh my gosh, whoa, mind
Whoa.
blown. Holy cow.
Didn't
Okay.
look how smart we are. We don't even realize it. And then
We're
we
just
do,
like,
and we're like, oh.
whoa. Okay, so wait, I have to ask you this
Wait.
though.
Oh, yeah.
No,
Mhm.
no. Oh, go ahead. You'll forget. I'll remember. Go on.
Well, because remember there's been a couple of weekends where you didn't, like, I couldn't podcast because we
Yeah.
had some stuff for the bank. And then you're like, I was like, oh, you take some time off for yourself. And then you're like, oh, okay. And then afterwards, you're like, actually, I really enjoy the podcast and I didn't want to not show up. So maybe this podcast is somewhat joyful for you.
Oh, it's a total green.
Even though
It's a total green for me
even though it's
because
frustrating to get the technology up and
yeah.
get, the room set up. But like once you're there, you're like, ah.
Yeah, I mean, thank goodness I'm not motivated by the technology working instantaneously because if I was, I would never do this.
True.
Right? But that's not, luckily that's for me, that's okay. But no, it's a green because when I'm done, I'm definitely uplifted. I feel more centered. I feel like, you know what I mean? It's definitely transformative. It has been continually transformative for me to do this with you. So the work that I have to put in, sometimes I would say like sometimes the work of like listening to the book and writing down the notes and kind of ingesting it is sort of sometimes a yellow, right? Like
Gotcha.
where it's not that fun and it's not always like emotionally stimulating for me.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't drain me to do it, which is interesting. Like
yeah, like editing is that
for
way for me.
But for you, it probably would be
horrible. Be
horrible.
draining. Oh, yeah. I would never do it.
Right.
If you made me do it, I'd be like,
yeah. And I mean, maybe, I don't know, because like I use colors when I'm like writing out the notes and stuff. So maybe that's how I try to make it a little blue. I try to make it a little fun for me.
Yeah.
Because like I draw and do stuff, you know what I mean, to kind of keep my mind going with things. But yeah, it's interesting. Okay, so I have a question for you. Like, what's the podcast for you? Like, if you had to break down all the pieces of the podcast that we do, like, are some parts red, some parts yellow, some parts blue, some parts green?
I'm going to go back and look at my notes here because, yes, I mean, okay, this is not going to be in any specific order.
No worries.
It's just what's first popping into my head, folks.
Do it.
So yellow is editing for sure. Like I know
I'm nuisance. It's boring.
It's boring. Okay. I know I got to do it, but thank God for this app Descript. It helps a lot. But I know it needs to get done, and it's not emotionally stimulating. The the show notes and like the actually getting it done on a specific day on Wednesday night, that is a full-blown red.
Full-blown red. Okay.
Full-blown red. It's like not fun, and it's highly emotionally stimulating because it's like 5 o'clock, 5 alarm fire, whatever that phrase is.
Because you procrastinated it at that point.
I have full-blown procrastinated because like I could get it up earlier, but I'm like, I've got time. I don't need to do it. And then I'm saying to myself like, oh my gosh, like this is literally the only like Taryn's not going to be able to listen to it on Thursday and do her laundry. That is the only reason, you guys, I have gotten 68 episodes up. It's because so everyone should thank Taryn because she's the only one that I know is like, I'll be so sad for podcast Thursday not being. So like in my mind, I'm like, oh, she's gonna like, and I know it probably won't even happen, but in my mind, I'm telling myself like, she's gonna be the saddest lady and I'm gonna like disappoint her, and I don't want to disappoint her because like I don't need to disappoint anybody else more than I already do in life.
She's gonna be so horrified because like honestly she's the most unassuming person ever and like would never want you to feel like that. So she will be like, but like you use it as a technique. She's never said this.
No, she's 100% never said this.
Nothing like this. But
and
you're using her like little character
actually
in your mind.
Let me rephrase. Okay. Because you're right. Like she's never said it, but like in my mind, I think like it's all okay. Honestly, all it is that like she would get up on Thursday and it wouldn't be there, and then she'd be like, "Oh, that's sad," and that's probably what she's like. Oh, okay, no podcast today. But then in my mind, how I interpret it is that Megan, you are a complete fuck up You didn't get it in,
Mm.
and you've made this person disappointed and changed their routine. And what the
Yes.
fuck is the matter with you, Megan? Because you couldn't
Yes.
just get off your ass and do it. And then the cursing comes out. So then you know it's
Ooh,
really
really
serious.
bad. Really
And
bad.
then it's all about like me berating myself because like I could have helped somebody, or I could have like,
Mhm.
like because I've let somebody down yet again, Megan. That's what you do. You let people down. This has been your entire existence for the last 40 years. It's just letting people down.
Right.
And you know what? We should send you to jail. That one didn't really work. That was just a callback.
Now you're going to jail.
Now we're taking you to jail.
You
So yes, it has nothing to
killed
do with
Terrence
her.
Hart. Yes. Yeah.
Yes,
No.
Taryn, it has nothing to do with you. It's just,
No.
but knowing that
Yeah.
there's somebody who's also listening
Yeah.
has also been a good, like, motivator.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if that's like where that would be. Is that in the, like, oh, actually, I do think that it's a little bit of like green, where it's like, okay,
Yeah.
the motivator, like knowing that there are people who are listening, because Taryn's not the only one, because we've heard from a lot of people that they've been
Yeah.
listening. So, like, there's this part where like I know it's going to be hard and it's going to be challenging. So I've been trying to work towards not doing the like that was okay. Okay. See, I told you this was not going to be at all.
Okay. It's okay. Your brain's
like,
going.
In the beginning,
Mm.
I went to this very red state of like,
Yeah.
I'm going to like harm people. Whereas now I think of it as more of like, okay, this is fun. It's hard to get it up and going, but I know in the end it's going to be transformative and building of friends and community.
Yeah.
And I'm able to kind of like, I think as I've been kind of doing it more, I've shifted from red to green.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of shit in the middle. in the blending from red to green, there was a lot of brown that
Yeah.
was mixing around.
And you've made your tomatoes or your little timer where you're in the yellow more when you're doing the mundane stuff, right?
Yes.
Like you're trying to work towards that anyway. That's your
Right.
strategy.
And also, my strategy is like figuring out for me, okay, what drives me crazy during the editing. So you've been kind enough to let me, put my sound engineer cap on and say, okay, let's try to change around the way the microphones are set up, or, get it recording the right way the first time. That way there's a lot less editing that has to happen. And now, because we've kind of gotten our setup better, there's a lot less that I have to do on the editing side that is really obnoxious. I've also learned like how to use AI to help me with some of the stuff, because for me, I don't enjoy writing show notes. Like the idea of having to take what we've said and then compile it all into a linear chunk.
Yeah.
Is what you're asking me to do for show notes. Now, I would love to give that to somebody eventually if we can make money. But like right now, I know our show notes could be way better, but I just need to get it done. So like I just use AI for that because that's not
and
something
then
that
read
I'm
through
good at.
it, right? Like you can.
Oh yeah. I read through it. I change it. I fix things, but like I let it do the majority of like synthesizing and finding a couple of good key moments, because like that's just not my strength. And so like the question for me is, do I get stopped at the show notes and then put nothing up, or do I utilize a tool to help me get through something
and get started with something, right?
Yeah.
Because I think that's one of the pieces. Okay, I want to go down the AI track at some point. I think we should do an entire podcast just about Kayla, because I think the way you're using it is a strategy that I think could help so many people if they don't know about it already. And I think it's amazing. And we could even talk about it in just a minute. But I did want to go back to the podcast for just a second. The process of recording this, like we're in it, we're talking right now. Do you always, can you say like that it's blue or it's red or it's yellow or it's green, or is it like just depending what we're talking about? You know what I mean? Like, is it,
I
like
think
when you're done with the podcast, like how do you feel? Depleted?
It really
energized?
depends.
Yeah.
I mean, it depends on the topic and the conversation. Like it's never consistent. And that's what I was thinking, like when you were saying that it feels green for you. It doesn't always feel that way for me.
Yeah.
And And but like, it kind of just depends on I think the thing is like, when we hit into topics that are ones that I haven't really spent any time thinking about,
Yeah.
then I end up going more into like the yellow red zone where I'm more depleted at the end of it.
It's not fun.
It's that portion of it's not fun.
Yeah. And some of it might be like really emotionally stimulating because of like, what you're remembering or whatever.
And what's interesting, like for me, so this is actually fascinating, Michelle, because I'm looking at this red-green thing now, and I'm not actually thinking about it as the fun aspect. I'm thinking of it more as just energy, like what's depleting me, what's not. Because I know, like in the past, like when I've gotten very like sad and like I'm crying, that like I know that I've watched you, I've observed you worry that it's gonna take my energy. And like you're kind of worried, like you ask, like, are you sure you want to go through, like, talk about this? And like the funny part is, like, once the tears come, that's actually a that is actually provides a lot more energy to me, because I'm not holding it in. Correct. I'm letting it out. And so for me, I know a lot of people don't like to see people cry. I applaud it and I love it. And like, I think it's necessary.
Absolutely.
Now, when we're talking about stuff that I don't understand yet, like I was thinking about this when you were talking about malicious motivators. I still do not understand how my brain works when we're talking about malicious motivators, because I keep trying to like wrap my brain around it, and I haven't yet ever really thought about it. And I know there's a pattern somewhere, but I haven't really spent time observing it.
Yeah.
And so for that, I mean, when we started talking about malicious motivators, for sure, I was in like the full blown red. Like I remember I had to take naps afterwards because like I just didn't understand it.
Yeah.
And then there's a couple other ones where like having to describe things for the very first time and having to like really go back and like try to recreate what's happening in my body for the first time is very taxing. Yeah. Which I think is also a lot of why when I went to grad school, I didn't want to ever go back after each semester, after each year. Remember, I like every summer I'd come home and I'm like, okay, I think I'm done. And you're like, okay, no, but you're not. And because it's just like having to go through these emotions for the very first time, having to try to like replicate them, and having to like live in the really awful things I say to myself, which are probably those malicious motivators, is painful, and it's hard to be in. So there are times, and then like when and then there's times like when, you know, you're telling me about stuff, like I think had you not given me this piece of paper, or not paper, but like this grid, Michelle, this one full blown would have been a yellow. I'd have been like, all right, I'm here. Like, I'm just trying to make it work. There's been a couple of those, right? Like where there's a lot of conversation, but
and
like
you can tell like there's not a flow between us as much because you're like bored.
I'm bored because like I don't process auditorily. So it was really smart of you to provide me this aid. There's another strategy, you guys. Know your type of learning style.
Yes.
And so if you're struggling like me, you know, you guys can hear it when I don't understand or I'm bored. And I tell you, Michelle, I'm like, it's not personal.
No.
I just don't physically understand what you're saying.
Okay, I want to go to this for a second because as you're talking about this, Josh has allowed me to use his name and talk about things, right? So like as a parent.
He's 18, people.
He's 18.
So he's given consent.
Adult, he's given consent. And he is ADHD. And we were talking about finances. And I was trying to show him, I thought he could use this one SoFi as a bank that you can get an online app and you can make little vaults so you can have different savings or something, right? You want to save for a car, you want to save for whatever it is. And I was telling him this and he was like getting really, really frustrated. And I go, hold on, I just need to get the whiteboard so I can show you. So we have like this little whiteboard on our fridge and I just drew it out, right? And he goes, okay, now I totally know what you mean. And he just went and did it. Because he does not take in information auditorily like at all. And I'm super auditory. So Yeah, I mean, I think there is an element too of like these techniques of understanding like I'm going to get drained, like say I'm in a class, I'm going to get totally drained if there's no visuals, if they're just lecturing at me. So,
Yeah.
could I use AI to take the notes for me so that I can draw and do something else so I'm still listening, but I'm not, you know what I mean? There's so many different ways that I think that's true in life, right? Of
Yeah.
like figuring out something could be red one minute and yellow at the other, just depending on how you're going about doing it. Like maybe changing up how you go about, are you standing while you're doing it versus sitting? Are you,
Mm-hmm.
doing a 5 minute instead of a 20 minute? You know, we do these little 15 minute, you and I, of like boring tasks around the house. And we figured out it just doesn't work for either of us to do more than 15 minutes.
No. And even like with my tomatoes, right? I've learned that 25 minutes is a good amount of time to kind of get you into it. Well, at least for me, to get
Hmm.
me into it. And then what I realized is that like everyone says, okay, do a 5 minute break. And I was like, 5 minutes is not long enough for a break
Mm,
because I need to be able to have at least a little bit of completion on certain tasks. And so like 10 minutes is perfect. But if I
mm.
go past 10 minutes, then I want to take a nap.
Interesting. And
So
that's you kind of managing your energy, right? Because
yeah,
you're going back and forth between maybe like what would you say, like fun tasks or just whatever task you had to get done, your red and your
it's so what I've learned, I don't know exactly, but on that side of it, but what I've done is I've learned that, okay, the 25-minute tasks are things I have to sit down and I
mm,
have to focus,
mm,
whereas the 10-minute tasks are something that gets me up,
and moving.
moving, whether it's laundry or dishes or taking the dogs out for a walk or something that just makes me physical. I need to have physical activity, which they say is also really important, like for your health, that like you really should you should be like standing up every 30 minutes, like at least
Yeah.
once or twice an hour.
Yeah.
Because sitting for so long is actually detrimental. And I've actually found that I'm a lot um, more productive that way. Now,
Mm,
also, a couple things. I'm going to preface this with that. Like, I don't do these focus sessions every single day. I don't use this timer. And that's the thing I'm kind of having to be okay with is that some days I'm like, yeah, let's do the tomatoes. And other days I'm like, yeah, F the tomatoes. Why am I saying F? Because like I'm already cursing in this episode. So I might as well just like get over the fact that I'm going to have to bleep myself, which why do we have to bleep ourselves? Anyways, what was I saying, Michelle?
You're saying sometimes you use your tomato timer and your focus
Yes,
time, and
sometimes I
sometimes you
use
don't.
it.
Yeah.
Because like I could see myself listening to this. If I was listening to me and I didn't, I was like Megan, great. Like so the way you're talking, it makes it sound like you
It's
use it every
absolute.
single day, and I'm like, no,
Yeah.
no, no, I don't use
Yeah.
it every single day ever.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then on the other hand, like with these focus, there was a second one. I've already lost it. I went off on a tangent about. Why do we have to?
Okay,
Okay,
we're
sorry.
okay.
Nope.
I know.
Coming
I
back.
know. I know. I
Mm-hmm.
know.
Coming
Yeah.
back.
Okay, so strategies you've had are like also not forcing yourself to do something the same way every day if you're not into it. Like if you can't,
Yeah.
you can't. Yeah.
Well, oh, I know. So I've heard a lot of people when I tell them about this focus, this like timer thing, they say, I just can't do that because I can't, I won't be able to get in. Like I need to get focused first,
Mhm.
and I get into a groove, and I got to get into that groove. And so, why would you ever want to like break it up with other tasks? And I actually kind of thought that at the beginning too. I was like, okay, well, why? Does that make sense, Michelle? Like, first of all, what I'm saying, like,
Yeah,
where,
it's that like once you get in that flow state, you want to stay in the flow state.
yeah,
But it's like you get in the massage chair and you stay in the massage chair too long.
yeah.
That's the problem.
And I think that's the issue is that like this feeling of flow
Mm.
feels incredible. Like I mean,
Yeah.
there's nothing. Well, maybe there's not nothing else, but there's a few. I mean, there's nothing else that can sustain for that long.
Sure.
Where you just like this feeling of like it just like I
It's
can't
euphoric.
stop and I want
It's
it is it's
euphoric.
very euphoric.
Yeah.
But then it also comes at a cost. It
Yeah.
truly does. And
Yeah.
so for me to be able to break it down, so I'm like, hey, every 25 minutes I'm literally standing up and doing something else. What I found is that this flow that ends up happening within that 25-minute, 10-minute, 25-minute, like you get into this euphoric state of like I'm getting so much done.
Mm.
And that becomes its own type of
Flow.
euphoria, because I think that that's where the whole idea of green comes from at the very end. It's like, I can look at the rest of the day and I can get to the end of the day and be like, damn, I did so much.
That was transformative.
That was a transformative day.
Right.
As opposed to these like flow states, which maybe blue is flow. Because like, it's funny, we haven't talked a lot about blue, Michelle. I was realizing like in the podcast, we didn't talk a lot about it. And they're saying it's fun, but not emotionally stimulating. Well, I wonder if, can be a seductive, hypnotic trap.
Yes.
Is flow a seductive, hypnotic trap?
Yeah, that's a good point.
And it says like, and she says like, you know, they're like, just like the other quadrants, blue quadrants activities are different for each person, but the danger is the same. It's the mere wasting time or avoiding what we really need to do. And
that's what's weird about it, is that like, I wouldn't say you're avoiding what you need to do when you're talking about using your timers. You're doing what you're supposed to do.
No, that's what I'm saying. I think the timers are actually taking me out of the blue quadrant.
Oh, out of the flow.
Because the flow feels so good, Michelle.
Yeah.
It is seductive. Like, it is exactly what she's saying. The blue, it is like that, you know, that seductive hypnotic trap.
I think
like,
it's, as you're saying it though, it's like the one thing I think that she's saying in the thing is that it's taking you away from what you need to do. And I don't think that's true.
No,
I think
that is true.
You do?
Because like, okay, when an ADHD person, I'm actually not going to speak for everybody. I'll speak for myself. As an ADHD person, when I get into flow, I will not eat. I will not use the restroom. I will not drink water. It's very dangerous for me to get into those states, because I'm not doing any of like, I'm not adulting in the way that I'm needed to be adulting. Like, I'm all of those things where I think it's like, and it's like, it just, because it feels so good. Like, I go back to that there's an episode of Star Trek where it's called The Game, and they're playing this game where actually, oh my gosh, it's like a giant hole that like discs fly into the hole. It's all in the hole. Oh my gosh, I'm in a Star Trek episode, you guys. How exciting and weird. But like, it gets to that point like where there's so much dopamine happening that you're just you don't do anything else, and like no one who's running the ship, and then all of a sudden someone can come and take over the ship. Spoiler alert. Sorry. But I've never considered flow to potentially be a bad thing.
Right.
And inherently, it's not bad.
As long as it doesn't too much.
Yes. And so this idea of green actually makes sense. This green quadrant is stimulating, and that like, I kind of go through a little bit of this flow and I stop and I start again and just continue. And like, and I get to the end of the day and I'm like, wow, look at what I accomplished today.
Yeah. But it's measured. It sounds like it's like measured a little bit. What?
No.
Uh-oh.
No, I just went to like, I know exactly what it's like another, okay.
It's okay.
Are we allowed to talk about like sex on this podcast?
I mean, I guess we're about to. On you go.
Okay. You know, in the show Friends, when they're talking about like, you know, the little, like the different numbers, and she's like, it's like, can you give me a 1, a 2, a 1, 2, 3, a 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 4, a 4, 5, 6, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7, 4, 5, 4, 6, 7, 7, you know, that whole thing.
Yeah.
It's exactly like that. It's like, you know, if you just go from like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7, 7, 7, 7, 7, 7, like your body wants to keep hitting 7, right? Yeah. It wants to hit 7. And if you don't go through between, you know, if you don't go to the other numbers, then the 7 is not as exciting, it's not as exhilarating.
Doesn't
it's not a good, you know, equation The equation is not, the X factor is not, as strong. Whereas like if you go through the 1, the 2, the 3 to 4, 4 to 3, 3, 4, 4, 5, 6, 6 to 7, and then like the 7, then you hit 7, come back, go back. And then like, that's what I'm saying. Like it's, if, my brain wants to just go from like 1 to 7 and like be in the flow state of just 7 all the time.
Right.
But it is not a satisfying 7 at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But if like I go from like 1 to 2 to 3, if I go all the way through the numbers and I keep like tapping on 7, but I go away from it and then I tap it again and then I go away, then it's like the most satisfying 7 I've ever had in my entire life.
I think,
and I'm like, yes, I would like
what you're talking about. And I'm gonna say that I guess like your day as an ADHD person almost needs to be like that Simon Says game.
I know, it's funny, like listening, like even saying it out loud. I'm like, I'm laughing because it sounds like a Simon Says game.
Yeah,
Simon Says 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Yep.
Well, I think,
but this is where my brain is like kind of. I've never considered that flow would be potentially detrimental.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's a hypothesis at this point, right? I need to do some more data and some more research on it. But like, I have lived my life to reach flow because that's what felt great. And that's where I felt my most real and authentic. Where at least where I would have said that. I would have said I felt my best. It's because people always say like, do what makes you feel good. Well, as an ADHD person, everything makes me feel good. So the best I've ever felt.
Things that are boring don't make you feel good. But you're not going to even entertain those, right? But things that make you feel good, you're going to do.
Yes. Yeah. I'm going to hit 7 every single time.
Right.
So that's the thing. It's like, but it's kind of making me question, like, do I need to rethink what is my goal in life? Right? I've thought that the goal was to hit flow. And when I don't hit flow, I feel like I'm a failure that day. And I feel that way. Like, that's why I've been working and struggling working at home. Because it's like, I feel like I need to hit flow. Because like, that's when I've been my most productive.
Right.
But I'm also not taking into consideration me as a whole human.
Right.
I'm not taking into consideration all of the things I have to do. As a kid, flow is probably the only thing you really got going on. So, you just go for it. But there's so much more complexity to life now. And so being able to like look at it and say, can I get to the end of my day and do I feel satisfied? Do I feel that I transformed my day? Do I feel, what does she say? That I'm deeply refreshed, and do I feel hopeful for tomorrow?
Ooh, I love that.
That's a totally different way of thinking of life as opposed to this flow, because flow, I never felt good at the end of the day. Because I was just waiting, I was just jonesing for the next flow.
Yeah.
But can I leave my night saying I feel hopeful? And if I don't, okay, so then can I look back on my day and say, why do I not feel as hopeful today? And be curious about it rather than berate myself.
I love that.
And I think it's okay to like get sucked into traps and to be like, oh, you know what? I started this new app and that's not a good app. I need to delete that immediately. Or maybe I need a few more days to realize like, no, I got to delete that. That's okay too. Right?
Yeah.
But like living in it and asking the questions, like I think that's what's, kind of going back to what we were talking about. You're the curiosity, I am the joy. And together we bring the radical acceptance. But also to be radically acceptant, like I need to have more curiosity in my life, whereas you need to have more joy.
Absolutely.
And maybe that's also the other radical acceptance. Boom. Just totally blowing my brain.
Mic drop.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I love it. I think this is something that we want to explore more because I'm curious about others listening to this, like where they would say if first of all, do they agree with this idea that the flow state maybe isn't the goal, or might have been a goal, but maybe isn't a is it, would you say, like a sustainable goal, or isn't always a healthy goal?
Isn't the end all be all goal.
Yeah.
And again, this is just a hypothesis, folks. I could be wrong.
Yeah, you got to play with it a little.
Yeah, but like talking this through, it's like I've never been happy when I achieve flow. And I haven't been able to understand that. Like, it feels amazing, but then I don't feel hopeful for the next day. I feel like nervous that I'm not going to be able to get to that flow the next day.
Yeah. And if that's not the goal, the end goal,
it's not. Yeah, it's not.
It's
It's
a happy
unsustainable.
coincidence or a happy moment when it happens, but not trying to force it.
Yeah, just like you're not trying to force 7, because some days, you don't want to force it.
True. Well, thank you so much for like just exploring this with me. And I'm glad to know, like, I need to give you a visual aid.
Dude, I was so much more interesting, wasn't I?
You're always interesting. You just were more able to like go back. And like you were able to like, center your thinking because you had something visual to look at. So it totally makes sense. Now we've learned.
I like it.
Yeah.
Visual aids, folks.
Visual aids. We'll post it in our Facebook maybe too.
Yeah. And I think I can link to a page.
All right. Well, you'll work on that.
Yeah. I'll figure it out.
All right. I love you.
I love you too.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks for listening to the Spicy Brain Podcast, brought to you by Spicy Brain Studios. We are continuing our series focusing around the book Your Brain is Not Broken, Strategies for Navigating Your Emotions and Life with ADHD by Tamara Rosier, PhD. We hope you enjoyed us navigating our neurodivergent brains through curiosity, Michelle, joy, me, and us coming together with our radical acceptance. Please take a moment to share the episode with someone you think could benefit from the conversation. Sharing really helps us continue building these episodes, and it provides better content for you. Also, don't forget to follow us on whatever platform you're listening to so you get notified each week, because next week, we're going to dive into how we use AI as a technique into navigating through this grid. We're going to talk about how I use it to go from taking a task that's red maybe into a yellow. So tune in next week to virtually meet my AI assistant, Kayla. But until then, here's to a great end of the week. And remember, stay curious.
And joyful.
Yes.